You know, I think a lot of times, you know, the Warriors are hoping to keep it even or not lose by 10. Now this great last week against Houston was 31-2, and that's all about Jimmy Butler in the half court, just always getting a shot on goal, either creating a shot for himself or getting a free throw line or getting his teammate a shot. So that's a big difference. To me tonight, again, I just thought, you know, offensively, you think about this: they had 20 made threes, 40 assists on 50 made field goals. So the balance of attack is great. They only got to the free throw line 12 times, but I feel like they're going back to old school basketball, inside out. And it's not necessarily a big time post up. Jimmy Butler just catches on that mid post. When he faces up, he puts the defense to make a decision. You're going to come get me, or you're going to let me play one-on-one? And over time, it wears them down. I thought the Warriors did a really good job starting in with Jimmy Butler. You knew the threes were going to come, but they started inside first, wound up getting 20 made threes.
And 14 more FGAs as he fell in that defense with Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. It is scary because they're great when it comes to weak side help or defensively. As you see Steph Curry, another milestone for him. Most 20-point games by an active player. He's had 700 games in which he scored at least 20. He's right there with James Harden. You see Kevin Durant and LeBron James way on top of the list. But this is a great list to be on. And let's flash it back. Our Chase alley-oop. But first, let's discuss Steph Curry. Let's talk some Steph Curry because really he was quiet in the first half. 7 points, 2 of 3 from the floor. But this shows the impact of Jimmy. This shows the impact of Moses Moody. Shows the impact of Brendan Pajitsky. And then Steph Curry saved his best for last, Fezzi.
I mean, Bonte, at this point now, you got to understand that this guy, Steph Curry, he is going to make shots. That's not the problem. The thing I see the most with the Warriors offense right now in this moment with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry together is there is a patience. Both guys trusting the process, trusting the offense, not rushing and taking bad shots. You see in this position right here, that's the end of the shot clock. Jimmy Butler drives by his defender and gets it to Steph Curry right where he needs it in the pocket, and he hits that shot. When the Warriors are rolling like this, when they are taking good shots, the Warriors are going to be tough to stop. They're shooting 50% from the field tonight. That's because each person is making the right play, getting to the rim. You saw to start the game, Draymond was being aggressive getting to the rim. You saw Moses Moody get going. Then you saw Brandon Pajitsky get going. All of a sudden, Buddy Hield came into the game. Same thing. When you get the whole team moving like this, then Steph Curry can cook at the time when he needs to cook.
And not only was Pods, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody cooking, they're shooting wide open shots. So Steph's gravity is creating opportunities for his teammates, his composure, his patience, knowing that as long as his teammates are making the opposing team defense pay, it's going to come back to him. So tonight he only had to take 13 shots, really efficient. And I think even Steph on those relocations is shooting open shots because of the ball movement and the multiple threats on the floor. As you mentioned earlier, Bonte, 4 players with
big bad team. Who he think afraid of Golden State? Even with Jimmy Butler. Do I believe they can beat OKC? No. Do I believe they can beat the Thunder? No. Hell, I don't believe if the Lakers these last 30 games get into some type of rhythm, I don't believe they can beat the Lakers, let alone dealing with Cleveland and Boston. So I don't have him having the confidence. He should believe that. But I don't believe they're not even. I don't see that. And I've watched this team, and I know what Jimmy Buckets is. But those 3, I don't believe that is enough for Golden State to get through the West and beat either Cleveland or Boston, maybe even the Knicks. Even if your Knicks can get hot at the right time. No, I do not believe Golden State Warriors can win a championship this year. But I don't have a problem with him saying it because, hey, if he doesn't believe it, who else does?
Well, I love it. And I love it because now he's got to go out there and back it up. And I think it's made the latter part of this NBA season that much more compelling. I think it's increased it exponentially so. The fact of the matter is you have the greatest shooter on God's green earth that is still a superstar in this league playing for the Golden State Warriors, although I would have liked to have seen him in the three-point shooting contest last night, fellas, since that is his home turf. It would have been nice to see him in the three-point shooting contest instead of sitting around being a spectator. But that's me. Having said all of that, we know what Steph Curry is. We know what he brings to the table. Jimmy Butler brings a different dimension, and I can respect where Draymond is coming from. Because you have a guy that's totally different than Steph Curry, but it's complemented them thus far. They're 3-1 in the 4 games that Jimmy Butler's been there. Do y'all know that Jimmy Butler has been to the free throw line 40 times? He's accumulated 40 free throws in the 4 games that he's played. So you got a guy that's not Andrew Wiggins, okay, that knows when to be aggressive, knows how to be aggressive, and most importantly, he spares Steph Curry, not just because he can be a bona fide secondary option, but because he gets to the free throw line, all of a sudden, we got to remember who Steph Curry is, and his greatest asset outside of his marksmanship is his conditioning. But he is going to be 37 years of age. And his movement without the basketball and constantly having to run around with everybody looking for him and creating space for him so he can launch. If you have a guy like Jimmy Butler, not only who can score, but who can get to the free throw line, buying you rest, that also galvanizes you because ultimately it elevates your energy. So we can't dismiss that. And then Draymond being Draymond with this cat post showing some capability, et cetera, et cetera. Do I believe they would beat OKC? No. Do I believe they would beat Denver? No. But I do love the fact that Dre has said what he said and put Golden State in that position because he's the kind of brother, Steph's the kind of brother, Jimmy Butler's damn sure the kind of brother that will go out there and do everything they can to back up Draymond's words, which would make it very, very interesting. So I don't think it's true, but I love
Stephen Curry, he played his 1,000th career game on Monday, the first Warriors player to reach the mark in franchise history. He's got 2 MVPs, 4 NBA titles, and the most career three-pointers in NBA history. But he's never had to adjust to adding an all-star to his team mid-season like Jimmy Butler. So, Perk, Shanae, what do you see from Steph and Jimmy here?
You know what time it is. It's time to go shot for shot, baby. Big Rose and little sis breaking down the new Golden State duo. But guess what? For the first time in a long time, we're going to be on the same team breaking this down, starting with Jimmy Butler and what he's brought to the table as a member of the Warriors.
Absolutely. Look, you know Jimmy Butler, he's a bona fide number 2. He's going to bring scoring. He's going to bring the rebound assist. But he also brings things that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. IQ, look at the screen setting. This is guard-on-guard screen. He know that Steph is going to draw 2. He slips out of it. We know that Jimmy is strong enough to finish in the paint amongst the best of them. He finishes with the left hand. Great screen and slip out by Jimmy.
And what I love is he's fit into and understands his Golden State Warriors identity. This is what Steph does. He moves without the basketball, but because he's a veteran, this is like Livingston, this is like Iguodala. He has the IQ to know how to get Steph too, and that's what I love. But you know what's crazy? It's like opposites attract, because look at these numbers. The average field goal attempt distance, opposites here. 8th shortest, 8.5 feet versus Steph, who's almost double that. 6th longest shooter in the NBA at over 20 feet, almost 20 feet. So basically, this is like a match made in heaven, like us too.
It's called balance.
It is a little bit of balance.
Yeah, it's quite the feat because thanks to 2 wins since Butler was sent to the Bay, the Dubs are now up to 10th in the West and in the play-in picture. But they have their eyes on more than that. Steve Kerr put it pretty bluntly. He said they want to be the 6th seed. That is now the goal. Golden State sitting just 2.5 games behind the Clippers for that final guaranteed spot in the playoffs. But Richard, that's just the seeding here. What can Golden State really do with Jimmy on the roster?
No, I think they can cause some problems.
Okay.
I think they have enough firepower to cause some problems, especially if they can get healthy, stay healthy throughout the run. I just think when people talk about championship, whenever the Warriors have done it, they've had a well-constructed roster. This is somewhat incomplete. They need a little bit of time to fill it out. Obviously, with the Jimmy Butler trade, there wasn't enough time late in the deadline. But to win 16, you got to have a roster. And I think that this is a team that you don't want to see them at 6. You don't want to see them at 8. You don't want to see them at 7 because they got Steph and Jimmy.
Look, Richard, honestly, this move was to save their superstar, his happiness, his sanity.
Yeah.
The joy is back for Stephen Curry.
Yep.
And there was a moment last game where we saw that on full display. The goal for the Golden State Warriors was to win the non-Steph Curry on the floor minutes. And watch this right here.
Ooh.
Nice little English. And who does he point right at? Oh,
Somebody happy. Get somebody to look at you like that.
I have not seen that man,
Smile.
Steph Curry,
Yeah.
smile that big in a long time. So sometimes these trades aren't perfect, but more importantly, you made one of the generational players in NBA history happy, and that is an ultimate win.
I agree. And you got to think about this. Before this trade, Steph Curry literally had one foot in the grave, the other on the banana peel. That's how defeated he looked at times when we watched him play without
Is that a
Jimmy.
thing?
Now, all of a sudden, Jimmy comes aboard. We see the joy. We see the passion. We see his numbers go up, the production. That's the great thing of having a number 2, so that now focus could be taken off of you so that you could go out and do what you do best. But again, if I'm looking at their ceiling with this roster, they're first round exit.
Wait, so Jimmy's number 2?
Yeah, he's number 2. What is it?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
They're also still waiting on Jonathan Kuminga to come back here, so it could be interesting when they try to assimilate Kuminga into all of this as well. I don't know, Perk. I think that they could scare, especially some younger teams in the first round.